Mike Tomlin has done it again. With Pittsburgh's 29-24 win over the Detroit Lions, Tomlin officially extended one of the most remarkable streaks in modern sports, 19 consecutive seasons without a losing record. No asterisks, no qualifiers. Nearly 2 decades of consistency in the most volatile league in North American sports. That win also marked Tomlin's 200th career victory as an NFL head coach, a milestone that puts him squarely among the elite of the elite. But the bigger question looming over Pittsburgh isn't about Tomlin anymore. It's about Aaron Rodgers. Specifically, do the Steelers actually need Aaron Rodgers to be great to make a playoff run? Tomlin's standard has never changed. The context has. Tomlin has always preached the same core values: physicality, discipline, and fight. The faces change, the coordinators change, the quarterbacks certainly change, but the Steelers always look like the Steelers. This season is no different, even though the name under center is one of the most famous quarterbacks in NFL history. Aaron Rodgers didn't come to Pittsburgh to carry a broken roster the way he once did in Green Bay. He came to a team with a defensive identity, a punishing run game, and a head coach who knows how to win ugly and isn't afraid to do it. That distinction matters. Because Sunday's win over Detroit made one thing crystal clear. This version of the Steelers is not built around Rodgers being Superman. The game told the real story, not the box score. Rodgers' stat line was solid, 27 of 41, 266 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. At age 42, that's more than respectable. It's winning football, but it wasn't the reason Pittsburgh won. The Steelers won because they dominated the line of scrimmage in a way that would make any Tomlin team proud. Pittsburgh rushed for 230 yards, their best mark of the season. Detroit was held to 15 rushing yards, their worst of the season. The Steelers controlled the clock, controlled field position, and dictated the pace. That's Steelers football. Always has been. The run game was the engine, not the accessory. For much of the first 3 quarters, the rushing attack was productive but unspectacular. Then Jaylen Warren detonated the game. 2 separate 45-yard touchdown runs in the fourth quarter broke Detroit's back and flipped the game from tight contest to Steelers control. Those weren't fluke plays. They were the result of consistent physical pressure wearing down a depleted Lions defense. Rodgers said it himself afterward. There wasn't much quarterbacking magic involved. That matters because it reveals the truth about Pittsburgh's offensive structure. Rodgers is not being asked to throw 45 times and rescue the offense. He's being asked to manage, distribute, and capitalize when defenses overcommit to stopping the run. That's a massive difference from his MVP seasons. Even the biggest throw wasn't about Rodgers. The most spectacular offensive play of the game, the 34-yard touchdown to Kenneth Gainwell, wasn't a product of elite quarterback dominance. It was chaos, awareness, and effort. Rodgers admitted he thought it was pass interference at best. Gainwell somehow pinned the ball inches from the turf, popped up untouched, and finished the play. That's not Rodgers dragging a roster forward. That's a roster responding, and that's been the story of Pittsburgh all season. Defense still defines the Steelers, even when shorthanded. The most impressive part of Sunday's win might not have been the offense at all. The Steelers played without TJ Watt and Nick Herbig, 2 of their most dangerous pressure players, against one of the league's most explosive offenses. That should have been disastrous. Instead, Cam Hayward led the way with a dominant performance. Pressures, tackles, a sack, and leadership that showed up when it mattered most. Detroit still moved the ball late, but Pittsburgh bent without breaking, helped along by critical penalties that wiped out Lions' touchdowns on the final drive. It wasn't pretty. It was effective. Again, Steelers football. Rodgers doesn't have to be legendary, just dependable. This is the key shift. In Green Bay, Rodgers had to be transcendent. The margin for error was thin, and the roster often required him to be perfect. In Pittsburgh, perfection isn't the expectation. The Steelers don't need 4 touchdown games. They don't need MVP-level efficiency. They need ball security, situational awareness, and leadership. Rodgers has delivered all 3. He hasn't forced throws. He hasn't played hero ball. He's taken what the defense gives him, leaned into the run game, and trusted the system. That's exactly what Tomlin wants. This is Mike Tomlin's team, not Aaron Rodgers' team, Moms. That distinction is critical. Rodgers is a weapon, not the foundation. The foundation was built long before he arrived. Tomlin recruited the roster. Tomlin shaped the culture. Tomlin decided how this team would win games in December. And as the Steelers stack wins against playoff-caliber opponents, Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, it's clear this isn't smoke and mirrors. This team knows who it is. The playoff question, can this formula work in January? That's the real test. The Steelers are likely headed toward the number 4 seed, possibly with a division title in hand. That means home playoff football. Can they win a postseason game without Rodgers turning back the clock? History says yes, if the defense travels and the run game holds up. But there's a catch. Eventually, they will face a team that forces Rodgers to do more, a team that stops the run early, a team that pressures without blitzing, a team that demands precision late. Rodgers doesn't have to be MVP Rodgers, but he will need to be decisive Rodgers, and the Steelers believe that version still exists. Tomlin's floor is legendary. Now he wants the ceiling. 19 straight non-losing seasons is absurd. 200 wins is elite, but Tomlin knows how this is judged. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. That's the next bar. Rodgers believes in Tomlin. Tomlin believes in his roster. And for the first time in years, Pittsburgh looks like a team that can win multiple ways. They can win ugly, they can win physical, they can win late. They don't need Aaron Rodgers to be great every week. They just need him to be right when it matters. And under Mike Tomlin, that might be enough. Mike Tomlin keeps doing what Mike Tomlin has always done, winning enough games to avoid a losing season, no matter the circumstances, the roster churn, or the narrative surrounding his team. With Pittsburgh's 29-24 win over the Detroit Lions, Tomlin officially extended his unprecedented streak to 19 consecutive seasons without finishing below .500. In the process, he collected the 200th win of his NFL head coaching career, a milestone that further cements his place among the most consistent leaders the league has ever seen. But as impressive as the milestone is, the bigger question hovering over Pittsburgh has little to do with Tomlin's resume and everything to do with the quarterback walking beside him off the field, Aaron Rodgers. At 42 years old in what may be the final season of his career, Rodgers is no longer being asked to carry a franchise on his back. The Steelers' success, at least so far, suggests they may not need him to be great, only steady. That distinction matters. For much of Rodgers' career, greatness wasn't optional. It was the price of admission. In Green Bay, the Packers' margin for error often vanished without him playing at an MVP level. During his last elite seasons, Rodgers wasn't just the engine of the offense, he was the entire identity. League MVPs, touchdown efficiency records, and postseason appearances all flowed directly from his arm and his ability to bend games to his will. That is not the version of Rodgers Pittsburgh is building around. Against Detroit, Rodgers played well. He completed nearly 66% of his passes, threw for 266 yards, protected the football, and delivered a timely touchdown. He managed the game, extended drives, and avoided mistakes. But he did not dominate. He did not overwhelm. He did not put the team on his shoulders and demand the spotlight, and the Steelers didn't need him to. Instead, this was a game won at the line of scrimmage, on defense, and through physicality. The exact brand of football Mike Tomlin has preached for nearly 2 decades. Pittsburgh ran the ball for a season-best 230 yards while holding Detroit to a season-worst 15. That kind of disparity is not an accident. It's philosophy made tangible. Jaylen Warren was the catalyst, exploding for 2 45-yard touchdowns in the fourth quarter that broke the game open. Kenneth Gainwell contributed both on the ground and through the air, including a stunning deep ball touchdown that tied the game at halftime, a play Rodgers himself admitted he didn't expect to be completed. The offensive line controlled the point of attack, even while shuffling personnel and leaning on depth players in critical moments. Defensively, Cam Hayward set the tone. 5 quarterback pressures, a sack, and constant disruption helped neutralize a Lions offense that has terrorized opponents all season. This came despite Pittsburgh missing key defensive playmakers, including TJ Watt and Nick Herbig. The Steelers didn't overwhelm Detroit with star power. They outworked them, out-physicaled them, and outlasted them. That's not a Rodgers-led win in the traditional sense. That's a Tomlin win. Which brings us back to the central question. Do the Steelers need Aaron Rodgers to be great? The answer, at least right now, appears to be no. What they need is competence, leadership, and situational excellence. All things Rodgers can still provide even as his physical ceiling declines. He doesn't need to throw 4 touchdowns. He doesn't need to make impossible throws every series. He needs to check into the right plays, avoid crippling mistakes, and capitalize when defenses overcommit